Hey everybody, it's Wendy, and it's Thursday, March 16th, if you can believe that. And we're here for another session of Weeds and Wisdom, week number 8. I believe that's right. And I hope everybody's having a good day. I hope your weather is good. Ours is rainy and cold, but it is March. And we're hoping that maybe we can move out of the winter mode pretty soon. So before we get started, in case you're hearing some extraneous cheeping sounds, more than likely it's because I have baby cheeps in my office. Yes, I have 2 brooders. One is filled with chickens and one is filled with ducks. Well, 6 ducks. And I've got 11 chickens in there. And it was just a little bit too cold downstairs in the Crooked House apartment in the basement. So I brought them upstairs and put them in my office. So we have peeps tonight. Little extra nature sounds in case you hear them. I love them. I've got the Easter egg chickens and some leghorns, and then I've got kind of a mixed bag with ducks. I think I've got a couple mallards in there and some pretty little white ones. Who knows what else. Right now they're all cute. Some of them have black feet. They're so cute. Anyway, so that tells you what I've been doing for the last couple of days. And tonight I wanted to talk to you about something that kind of just evolved from some experiences I had this week with customers and different interactions I've had with a few people that brought about this topic. And I thought, you know, there is a large percentage of people that suffer from this. And so I thought it might be something that we can talk about tonight. And if you know somebody that has this particular affliction, or if you do, then this will help you. Also, before we get started, I want to remind you that if you want to watch any previous sessions of Weeds and Wisdom or Herbal Wisdom, is that what we're calling it? Herbal Wisdom? I think so. I think I put Weeds and Wisdom on the caption. Sorry. That's the name of the book that I have for the homeschooling workshop. I messed up with that, but that's okay. Anyway, Herbal Wisdom 101. That's where we're at tonight. And if you want to watch any previous sessions, they're all on the Crooked House Herbal's YouTube channel. So you can just go there and pull up any of the ones that interest you. And be sure to like them and give us a thumbs up. It just helps, you know the drill. Anybody's watched any YouTube, you know how that works. So I would appreciate that. Also, I want to remind you, any of you that are in my location area, around the Harrison area, that we will be having our first homeschooling workshop on April 21st, which is a Friday, from 10 to 2:30 here at Restoration Ranch. And it will be a really fun time. We're going to do a lot of learning and a lot of playing with herbs and creating their own tinctures and oils and different things to take home. And it promises to be a really good experience. So if you've got homeschooling kids, I recommend that you go to www.crookedhouseherbals.com, go to the Workshops and Learning tab, and register for Weeds and Wisdom. Introduction to Living with Herbs. That's the first one in April. And there is a discounted price for families that have got 4 or more kids. So join us. We've got people registered already, and it's going to be a blast. Okay, let's go on to tonight's topic then. Also, I wanted to remind you that if during this session you've got any questions, whether it's relating to the topic or not, it doesn't matter. go on to the Crooked House Herbals Facebook page and use the messenger and go ahead and type them in. And I've got my computer open. I can see them, and I will be happy to answer you live right here. So let's get started. Anyway, tonight I want to talk to you about eczema. Now, I've said this before, and those of you that have been around me long enough know that I'll say whatever's on the outside is coming from the inside. Hi, Aubrey. It's good to see you. And so when you have something going on the inside of your body, you only have so many ways that it can manifest itself. And if it's something that a lot of times it will come out on your skin. So some interesting statistics about eczema are that 31.6 million people, about 10% of the population in the United States, have some form of eczema. And it seems like the prevalence peaks in early childhood. So, like I said, a lot of this conversation tonight stems from some interactions I've had with people during the week with small children, even infants, that are struggling with eczema with their kids and, you know, kind of freaking out. So we've taken some steps and done a few things that have been amazingly wonderful for them. And so I wanted to share them with you. Okay. It is estimated that 1 out of every 10 individuals will develop eczema during their lifetime. A lot of that depends on what's going on inside your body, but that's an interesting stat. Either way, overall, 60% of individuals with atopic dermatitis received a definitive diagnosis within 12 months of initial symptom presentation. So that's just a statistic that's coming from a journal. They break it down to the demographics. 10% or 11% are white, 10% are African American, 13% are Pacific Islander or Asian, 13% are Native American. So it doesn't really pick favorites. It's just kind of across the board evenly. Some of the ways that some of the symptoms that you have when you have eczema are, you know, they're not fatal, but they sure can mess your life up, and they can make you really miserable. So some of them, you know, like I said, that you don't have a high mortality rate from eczema, but you can have a very discouraging existence if you don't do something about it. And especially when it's in young children. It is suggested that, you know, up to 80% of young kids that have eczema when they're young will actually outgrow it. Some of it is just due to maybe being premature or having other difficulties at birth. And after their body kind of catches up and matures, then a lot of those symptoms go away. So, but you know, there's kids. I have had clients that have, you know, 4-year-old children that have had eczema in like on the bottoms of his feet. And she was just really distraught because this poor child, you know, was getting ready to go to school and wanted to play and, you know, do normal kid things, and his feet were just constantly itching and burning and oozing, and he just had all of the symptoms of eczema, and they weren't being able to get any relief. I know a lot of you are not comfortable with loading your kids up with steroid creams or shots or those kinds of things, and you are looking for natural alternatives, and that's what we're going to talk about tonight. Okay, eczema, for whatever reason, is a part of a lot of people's lives, and you can spend some time doing your own research on that and see if you can track it down as into why it's happening. Sometimes it's, you know, maybe an allergy or an imbalance, a chemical imbalance at some level, but you need to do your homework and your own legwork on that to discover what it is. There's not a textbook, you know, it's not like getting chicken pox, you know, where you just have them. There's a reason that eczema is manifesting on your skin, and it, like I said, a lot of it happens in early childhood and will actually go away as they get older because their bodies get into balance, and they're just more mature, you know, their immune systems are stronger, they're able to right a lot of the wrongs and the imbalance in the ship, and as they get older, and you know, it just goes away. But in the meantime, you know, you're struggling with this infant or small child that is miserable, and they can have flare-ups, they can have, you know, other, it's just it's a struggle. And like I said, this one particular person that I was talking with this week has a small baby and was not comfortable with giving him a lot of steroids. And I mean, this baby was having other problems as a result of the medications. So she finally stopped doing that, which caused, you know, those symptoms to stop, but he was still struggling with the eczema. So I made some suggestions, told her what I would do if it was my child, and she took me to heart, and within a couple of days was calling me back and sending me pictures, and was already so thrilled that he was already on the road to recovery and doing so much better. So let's talk about some of that. Let's see if there's any of this stuff. This one article that I was reading talks a lot about some of the things that can happen as a result, especially of young children having eczema. It can disrupt their sleep. It can they've connected some other risks, like maybe bone density risks and other things, to children that have these particular issues. But you know, there's not a whole lot of research to nail that down yet. And even like ocular conditions, there's, you know, some vision issues, that kind of thing. But they're not really sure that all of that is connected. So I'm not going to go scaring anybody by quoting a bunch of that stuff. But there is some interesting literature out there if you're interested in looking it up. I always like to do that because there's always two sides to look at things. And, you know, I believe that our bodies are designed to heal themselves, but sometimes you need a little assist. And I think it's always a good idea to see a physician, or at the very least, get blood work, get a blood panel, so that you can, you know, act intelligently about your condition and know where, you know, have somebody help you understand what your blood work is showing you, and, you know, where your weaknesses are, and, you know, your susceptibilities are. And you can tell a lot from the blood. So I don't shy away from that. I think that's a good idea. You know, it's good to be informed. You don't always have to do everything that doctors tell you to do if you're not comfortable with that, but it's good to hear them out and get a diagnosis, you know, maybe 2 or 3. And then, or at the very least, like I said, have blood work done. And then if you know, have somebody that can interpret that for you, do that before you just launch yourself into anything. Okay, so on that note, let's look at how we would naturally approach eczema, okay, with herbs and with diet. So first of all, it's obviously an inflammatory condition. I mean, you are obviously dealing with inflammation at the very least. So to quell that and to bring your inflammation into check, get that down to a low roar, the first thing that you should start with is your diet. And reducing inflammation means what? It means reducing your intake of inflammatory foods like red meat, eggs, dairy, sugar, processed foods of any kind. All of that stuff adds to inflammatory conditions. So here's the thing. One or two by themselves probably wouldn't. Your body has the ability to, like I said, right that ship and compensate for a little bit of here and a little bit of this and a little bit of that. But the problem is that most people with their standard American diets, that's all there is. Their daily intake of inflammatory foods is amazing, completely amazing. And so something's got to go. And if you're dealing with inflammatory conditions, I mean arthritis, any of those things, the first thing you need to do is reduce your intake of inflammatory foods. That's the first thing that you can do without spending a dime or making any appointments. Just stop eating so many inflammatory foods. And then maybe introduce some anti-inflammatory foods like turmeric and flaxseed and different things like that into what you're taking in. Flaxseed oil is really good for inflammation, and start just switching things up that way, drinking the right kind of water and calming your, you can do a lot. And then there are things like elderberries. Elderberry is a very good, like one of the top 2 anti-inflammatories. Ginger, like I said, turmeric, and even hibiscus, those kinds of things. If you have a favorite tea, see if it contributes to reducing inflammation, and just, incorporate those things into your body and into your daily intake like you have been with inflammatory foods. Instead of grabbing the bag of chips, eat something that's real and whole and not processed, like vegetables, carrots, celery, eat a veggie plate or some fruit. Or when I just feel like I just need a snack, my favorite snack ever is a handful of raw almonds with a couple of squares of dark chocolate. And that's a really good snack. That covers a lot of bases. So just change your thinking a little bit about what you want to eat and not eat. And you can put a lot of that inflammation in check really quickly. Another thing, like I've told you before, is, apple cider vinegar and honey in the morning. I add a little cinnamon and a little bit of ginger to that, and that's my morning beverage. And that does a lot to clearing out a lot of things and to getting your brain cells moving. You've got a lot of good mental clarity. It gets your blood flowing, and it's a good starter. It's a good breaking the fast thing. It's good to do right before you eat anything, is have that. And it does make a difference. And after a while, you'll feel it when you don't do it, because it is a great thing to do. I mean, I've never been a coffee drinker, but I enjoy a cup of caffeinated tea in the mornings, but I won't even let myself have that usually until I've had my apple cider vinegar and honey. So, and I can tell the difference if I go ahead and have the tea and I don't do the other. I can tell the difference in my body. My body is kind of finely tuned to those two things in the morning. So do that for yourself, and start working on your inflammation, on the front end with what you can control and what you can do. So that being said, let's talk about some herbs that can help you. My number one go-to herb for anything inflammatory, especially something like eczema, and this is what I talked to this one client about this week with her baby, is chickweed. And right now is the perfect time because chickweed is out in force. This is its time of year. It loves the spring. It loves the cooler weather. And you can find chickweed just about anywhere, unless, of course, you're still in Idaho under snow. But it won't be long, and you'll be able to find chickweed too. Chickweed is pretty easy to identify. It's got little heart-shaped leaves. Actually, the cover to my book is actually chickweed. If you can see the shape, it has little white flowers, and it's got these little heart-shaped leaves, and it's kind of a viney, low-growing plant. Bright green, really pretty. It's good in salads. It's good as a tea. And so what I recommended is that this young lady make a very strong chickweed tea, and then pour 2 or 3 cupfuls of that into her baby's bath, and let him just sit in it and soak in it, and then just kind of pour it over his shoulders and down his back and on his head, and let him just soak it up through his pores, and do it a couple times a day. And then if this particular child's nursing, so she wasn't doing much with bottles or cups, but if you do have that option, water down that tea a little bit and have the child drink it as well. And it is one of the fastest and most effective anti-inflammatories. You'll be surprised. I use almost all of these herbs in a product that I make called Soother. And it's a topical, and it clears up eczema like that. But it's also really good for any kind of skin irritation, like a burn or a bad bite or anything itchy. It's great, and it's because it contains all of these great herbs. So, chickweed. Okay, let me see what I wrote down on this. Alrighty, chickweed. All right, this is what I wrote. Is a small white flower native to Europe. For centuries, chickweed was used in Chinese medicine and herbal medicine for its wondrous anti-inflammatory, antifungal, antiviral properties. Even today, the herb is recommended by skincare professionals for its various skin disease healing activities. These properties are due to the presence of flavonoids, cyclic peptides, and polysaccharides in chickweed. The herb eases inflammation, rashes, and itching caused by eczema. The effective home remedies made of chickweed are also used to treat insect bites, which is what I just told you. But you can take chickweed and put it in take a couple good handfuls and put it in some olive oil, and I would recommend that you dry it out first and then put it in olive oil, because there's a certain amount of water in the herb that's going to not do well with the oil, and it will cause your oil to go rancid or mold, or it won't hold. But chop it up kind of fine, and then let it dry. It will dry quickly. Or if you have a dehydrator, put it in there overnight or whatever. And then add 1/4 cup or so of olive oil, and you can macerate it for a few days, or you could put it on a very, very low heat or in a crock pot on low and let it simmer and heat for a few hours. And then you can, strain it and use the oil, or you could keep the herb in it and use it like a poultice. Or you could go on with that and, if you know how to make salves and ointments and that kind of thing, use that oil to go ahead and do something like that. You can't overdo it with chickweed, so that's something that you can apply often. And especially if you have small children, you know, it's very soothing and it's good. One thing that I will say, and I have discovered this through the years, is a lot of times baby's skin is irritated, especially if they have eczema and they're really sensitive anyway, to any kind of petroleum-based product. So you're going to have to watch out, like, what kind of laundry soap you use, any other kinds of things that you're using on your child, you know, on their bottoms or whatever, because the petroleum actually heats up and burns them worse. I had that problem with my oldest son when he was a baby. He had really sensitive skin, still does as an adult, but his little butt was constantly red and fried, sometimes just almost blistery. And I was using cloth diapers at the time, and I was just at my wit's end. And then I realized that at that time, I don't think it's so much that way now, but at that time there were only 2 patents for all the laundry soap. They were all the same thing, and they were all petroleum based. So I had to go out of the regular market for laundry soap and buy, like, from a distributor that, you know, that sold a different kind of product that had no petroleum in it. Now it's much easier to get your hands on stuff like that. You can go to Whole Foods probably and find laundry soap that doesn't have any petroleum in it. But that would be something I would recommend you doing, you know, right up there with changing your diet, is consider your laundry soap and what you're using, because it could be that that's definitely contributing to your skin irritations. And if you know, especially little kids. Okay, so chickweed would be my number 1 go-to. Another one is chamomile. And you're going to notice a trend here. They're all very soothing herbs. Chamomile, you know, you may be familiar with chamomile as the tea that you drink when you need to calm down. Chamomile tree, chamomile essential oil, chamomile, because it is very, very calming. Chamomile is used for eczema quite often. It's highly rich with antibacterial, anti-inflammatory, antifungal, antiseptic effects. So I don't know, some people don't know that about chamomile, but it is also a good antiseptic. It is a significant herb used in all clinical trials for its effectiveness in skincare. The herb is known to be hypoallergenic with the ability to neutralize skin irritants, which is also good to know, because it could be, you know, yes, right now you're dealing with eczema, but you may have other skin sensitivities. So chamomile could end up being your best friend, you know, because it's something that you can, that will neutralize a lot of those irritants. I wrote down here, in a study with humans, the herb is said to have 60% as active as 0.25% hydrocortisone when applied topically. So it has that same effect as, you know, your hydrocortisone creams and things, only it's all natural and there's no other things added to it. It naturally contains that. It is a good skincare herb and is suitable for all skin types because it's an excellent anti-inflammatory. And again, in conditions like eczema, that's what you're dealing with, is major inflammation. So I would recommend the same kind of thing. A topical product that contains chamomile, but also drinking the tea and working on the inside, because that's where your inflammation is. So calming that inflammation down by drinking chamomile tea, or a combination of chamomile and chickweed, more bang for your buck, or alternate, whatever. But get some of these anti-inflammatory herbs in you as well as on you, and you'll see results much faster. Okay, another one is oats. And you think, what? And you know what's funny about this is I remember as a kid, my grandma used to use oats. She would use them like a poultice, and she'd put them, like when I was notorious for trying to keep up with the boys and doing boy things sometimes, and riding mini bikes and riding my bike real fast down hills and stuff like that. And I would biff quite often and get major road rash, that's like tear up my legs on the asphalt or whatever. And I would come home and my grandma would make this poultice out of oats and put it on me, and it would just calm everything down and take all the pain away. And I always thought it was really weird, but she, I'd get a sty in my eye and she'd slap a hot tea bag on my eye. My grandma knew stuff. I didn't know that then, but she did. So oatmeal is considered a useful and soothing herb to relieve irritation and itching. You can put oats in your bath water. My mom did that when we had chickenpox. She bathed us in oat water because it pulls the itching, and it's drying and it's soothing. It does have some anti-inflammatory compounds, and it possesses antioxidant properties. So, in clinical studies, oats on eczema found a significant reduction in skin dryness, redness, scaliness, and itching after the application of extracts. So it's going to be more of, it's going to draw, and it's going to help with the oozing part and that kind, the dry, scaly part of eczema. So it might be something good to put in your bath water, or for your child to, oh, cool, we get to take a bath in oatmeal. Make it fun. But make sure you use like a non-processed, like a whole oat. Don't get the Quaker oat, instant oats or whatever. Use something that's the whole grain, the whole herb. Okay, so here is a study. 2015 study claims that oatmeal lotion had anti-inflammatory and antioxidant effects, resulting in improvement in skin conditions like roughness. I don't know if any of you use like the Aveeno products, but that's a big ingredient in a lot of their stuff, I've noticed. Improvement in skin conditions like roughness, itching, itch density, and scaling. Also, the oats calm and soften inflamed skin. Take 2 tablespoons of powdered oats and bathtub of warm water. Add the oats to the tub containing water. Soak for the 10 to 15 minutes. And pat dry. And like I said, if you have some coconut oil, that would be a good thing to use as a moisturizer, or olive oil, instead of anything that you think might be petroleum based, because you need to try to stay away from that. Okay, what else are we talking here? Oh, our friend that seems to come up every week, and that is turmeric. Turmeric is used for thousands of years because it is anti-inflammatory, big time. It's also antifungal, antibacterial, antioxidant, and antiseptic. Turmeric for eczema remains a popular herb. Several Indian and Chinese herbal practitioners use turmeric to treat a range of skin, including eczema. Eventually, turmeric eliminates the toxic byproducts from the body, which are the cause of eczema. So, again, what is going on the inside is eventually going to come out on the outside. That's why I told you, if you are going to do a liver cleanse, you can probably expect your skin to look a little off for a few days after you've cleansed your liver well, because a lot of those toxins are going to come out through your pores. That's okay. Wash your face and your skin off with apple cider vinegar. Clean them off real good and just keep cleansing, because eventually it'll all clear up and you'll have better skin than you had before. Okay, 1 part turmeric to 2 parts of water. Mix the turmeric with the water, stir well, simmer and the mixture on low heat for 3 to 5 minutes. A thick paste of raw turmeric is formed. Let it cool. Then apply it to the affected areas. Leave it to dry for 10 to 20 minutes, then wash it off. And I would recommend that you rinse that area with some apple cider vinegar after that, just to make sure it's everything that's been pulled up is off, not going back into your skin. You can do it regularly for at least twice a day for the best results. Can't overdo it. So just remember that turmeric is orange, okay? And it will color things, kind of like black walnut does, okay? So if you've got eczema all on the front of your face and down the front of your neck, I probably wouldn't use a turmeric paste unless you don't have anywhere to go for a couple days. Now, if you want to whiten your teeth, go for it. But your skin's going to hold that orange color for a bit. All right? Just a word of warning. Okay, another herb in this lovely family of calming and anti-inflammatories is milk thistle. Milk thistle is good actually for eczema and like things like acne. It's very versatile in softening and moisturizing the skin. Milk thistle will clear the skin impurities, soften your dry skin, heal inflammation, and give you a healthy glow. The antioxidant properties in milk thistle fight free radical damage, slows down the aging process. Numerous anecdotal evidence reports that milk thistle alleviates the symptoms of eczema. So, here's what you can do with milk thistle. Take a tablespoon of milk thistle seed, crush the seeds, and add it to 3 cups of boiling water. Boil the water, then take it off the heat. Don't boil the milk thistle, okay? Add that to 3 cups of boiling water, and then let it steep for 20 minutes, and then strain it. So essentially what you've done is made a real strong tea. Okay, then can you guess what you're going to do next? Yep. You're going to apply a warm compress using a clean washcloth in the affected regions. Or you could do, you could strip like if you have an old white pillowcase, linen pillowcase or something, and you could cut some strips and soak it in the tea and then apply it, onto the area. Or you could literally just do a wash with it, just do a rinse. But if you leave it on for a little bit, you'll probably have better effect. And if you're wanting to do it for the anti-aging properties, I would definitely recommend applying it, putting it either on a rag or some kind of fabric, soaking it real well, and then leaving it on the skin for a few minutes at a time. You could do that 2 or 3 times, even a couple times a day for eczema. Okay, here's another one that, again, this ingredient is in my soother, and that is calendula. Calendula is another very soothing herb, and for generations has been used for its anti-inflammatory effects, antifungal, antibacterial. Notice that all of these anti-inflammatory herbs are usually all antibacterial and antifungal as well. Interesting, huh? And calendula is beautiful. I don't know how many of you have ever grown it or have seen it growing, but it has beautiful orange flowers and sometimes yellow flowers. They look like marigolds. And very, very anti-inflammatory. So I use calendula in my soother as well. Best known herb believed to benefit eczema by eliminating bacteria, helping the skin heal and reducing the inflammation. Studies claim that the use of calendula ointment for acute dermatitis in women who had undergone radiation therapy for breast cancer show improved in severe dermatitis and other skin conditions. The oil extracted from calendula is useful in healing wounds, relieving diaper rash, and soothing eczema. So I make my own oil with, I infuse oil with calendula, and then I add that to my soother combination. Here is one way. Take a bunch of dried calendula flowers and carrier oils like grapeseed oil or olive oil. Chop the flowers, add them to the oil of your choice. Heat the mixture and simmer for 15 to 20 minutes. I would be very careful not to do anything more than a simmer. I would be more inclined to, like I said, use a crock pot on low, because you don't want to boil it at all. And if you're not standing right there and watching it, and if that's not something you can do, then I would use a crock pot, or I just use thyme. I keep up with my infused oils, and I let them do their own thing in a warm window or someplace like that, and I do it for about 3 weeks and then strain them. This says allow it to infuse and steep for 12 hours. Strain the flowers out of the oil and apply the oil to the affected areas. So the heating method speeds it up, but you got to be really careful not to get it too hot, because you'll you'll undo all the good if you do that. Okay, here's a surprising one, and that is sarsaparilla. Sarsaparilla is a really cool herb, and I use it in quite a few things, but most people don't really know that much about it. It's pretty neat, though. Hundreds of years, the indigenous people around the world used the roots of sarsaparilla for healing skin conditions like eczema, dermatitis, psoriasis, and treating joint problems like arthritis, liver, and skin conditions, which all of those things have one thing in common, and that is inflammation. Chinese practitioners use sarsaparilla to clear blood heat, they called it, one of the primary causes of eczema, which basically boils down to toxicity. Blood heat. Again, inflammation. So, are you seeing where I'm going with this? A lot of the problems stem with eczema, and skin problems stem from inflammation, which more than likely could be corrected with diet. Like I said, sometimes with the younger, the early childhood segment of afflicted people, it could be dietary, but it also could be, like I said, they're just not fully developed, and it just takes a little time for their immune systems to catch up and right the ship. So if you've got a little one that's struggling with that, just hang in there and do the right thing. Make sure they're not getting inflammatory foods and that kind of stuff, so you can help it along. But basically it's a time thing, and you just got to wait for them to get a little older. The herb cleans the blood by neutralizing many toxic compounds in the blood circulation. So you take some sarsaparilla roots and a cup of water, okay? And you add a teaspoon of sarsaparilla root to 1 cup of water, somewhere in there. And boil the mixture and stir it for like 10 to 15 minutes. Let the mixture steep for about 20 minutes, strain the roots, and allow it to cool. Again, I would not boil it. I would simmer at the most. And I'd give it more than 10 to 15 minutes. It is a root, so it can take a little more heat, but just be careful. Err on the side of caution and go lower heat over high heat, okay? And then again, you can do the compresses with a cloth, soak it in the sarsaparilla tea and apply it directly. The neat thing about sarsaparilla is it has such a cool, yummy, wonderful, old school smell. I love the smell of it. Okay, You can do this at least once a day. It will aid in your skincare regimen, whether you have eczema or not. Any of these things would be beneficial to your skin on any level. I have products that I put sarsaparilla in, but I never thought about putting it in my sugar. I've always used, I do have calendula and chamomile, and I use arnica and a little cayenne and chamomile, chickweed. Chickweed's a big one. If you ever want to know what's in any of my products, you can go onto my website, crookedhouseherbals.com, and pull up a product, and it should have the ingredients and uses right under the product. If you scroll down under the product listing, you'll find what's in it and some of the ways you can use it. But those are some natural ideas and approaches to dealing with eczema. And I would suggest that you try those first before you go to hardcore other things, that especially if you have a child that has eczema, only because you don't want to pump them full of steroids, and it has other effects. It affects their heart, it affects their bone mass, their muscles, all of it. So the more natural you can stay, the better. And really, at that point, at that juncture, that age, it's all about relief. So if you can naturally relieve their pain or itching or discomfort, then why not do it that way? Again, I have products that I can offer if you're not one to want to do it all yourself, or even if you don't have the ability to do that. But I will also be happy to talk to you about anything like that you need consultation on. I am available. So if anybody, let's see if I have any questions that have been typed in. It's looking pretty good. This was a message I just got from this one gal that I was telling you about with her baby. And she said, I am quite amazed and relieved that the rash is subsiding, even though he has been feeling poorly in the last 2 days. So in 2 days, she noticed a huge difference in her little baby's skin. He's a cute kid too. Has anybody got any questions you want to ask me live? If so, go to the Crooked House Herbals Facebook page and use the messenger and type them in, and I'll be happy to answer them now. If not, I think I'm going to go ahead and end a little early tonight, only because I need to take care of my peeps, my cute little peeps, before they go to bed. I can hear them playing in there. If you've ever raised baby ducks, you know what I mean. They are so freaking cute. They're so social at, a week old, and they talk to each other, and they're just so cute. And they zoom all around and have this natural affinity for the water already. And they're just so cute. I could watch them all day. And my baby chickens are just crazy. They all have personalities already. I can't wait for them to get bigger. So, on that note, I wish you all the best. I hope you have a wonderfully blessed weekend. And I would love to hear from you. If you've got any questions or anything you would like me to talk about next week, please feel free to send it my way, and I'll work on it. And I'm here for you. Also, I want to remind you about the homeschooling workshop in April that you can register at crookedhouseherbals.com. Go to workshops and learning and scroll down to Weeds and Wisdom, Introduction to Learning with Herbs. That's the first one. The link for the workbook is also there. And I would love to have you guys here. It's going to be fun. And also, what else? Oh, if you want to look at previous videos that we've done in the past few weeks, then go to Crooked House Herbal's YouTube channel and peruse to your heart's content. Don't forget to like and subscribe if you want to. And I will see you next week. Have a blessed weekend, and remember that nature heals us best. Bye now.